Hey, Mike. There's no problem with you making a guest appearance on this show. Yeah, just show your face real quick at least. Come on, Mike. Is it up on stream right now for everyone? Yes.
We're getting started.
Okay, let's go ahead with it. Yeah, the salt is moving in the background.
Internet. That was Earthworm Jim. Anyway, Internet, how you guys doing? You're watching ATP Live. We finally made it. We had some trouble with Majin over here, but we got it together. He's in the middle. Are you in the kitchen, dude?
Yes, I am in the kitchen.
They got you in the kitchen, even after winning, man. Jeez, they got the champ in the kitchen? All right, all right. Big thanks for joining us, Majin. How you doing, man?
I am doing fine. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking. And Rip, thanks again for joining us. What's going on, brother?
What?
All right. So there is basically the big event last weekend for all three of us was SCR. And it was really to me, it was a really great tournament overall. I mean, to be honest with you, I've never really liked SCR, especially not after the Proud Bird. When they switched the venue from the Proud Bird to UCI, I never really, I mean, it was cool. I liked it. It was a major and everything, but every time anyone ever went to it, people got sick, and it was just like a really weird event. And the venue has always had issues with like smokers being outside, and people just like, there's a lot of crazies out there in Irvine that don't like cigarette smokers. So it's just been a really weird event. But this year, they decided to go with all those games, 21 games or whatever. And, man, I thought it was just really good. Everything went off without too many problems. There was only one fire alarm, which I heard was pulled by Guilty Gear X player who was super pissed. But overall, it turned out to be a legit tournament. And for me, at least, I thought it was a lot of fun. And I'll get into some specifics, but overall, generally, what do you guys think? You go first, Majin. How did you feel about the tournament overall?
Well, I felt it was, very, very crowded. It was really hard to move. So, I mean, it was definitely major level. You had that vibe going because there was so many people.
Interesting. Okay.
It felt like the main ballroom at final round.
Interesting. All right. All right. So, in comparison, you'd say it was pretty big.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Okay, cool. And so, for the people who don't know, you actually flew in on Saturday, right?
Yes, I did.
Wow. So you just arrived and had to play your pool. That's pretty rough. Okay. All right. Interesting. And Rip, how was the tournament overall for you?
I think it was good. I think that like you mentioned, SCR in the past has been a little bit too crowded, and this year when they announced that they were doing 20 games, I was like, "Yo, this is gonna be ridiculous. That venue can't handle it." But it seemed like there were less people there. I don't know how it's scheduled or spaced out, whatever, but it seemed pretty spacious overall for the Tekken side of things compared to previous years. And as far as the pools, I was running the pools for the most part, but I had like a ton of help from Nick and Vietnam Tom and Big Worm as well. All those guys helped out the bracket, so everything was perfectly on time. So I thought the tournament ran really well. The only thing that I didn't like was just that the top 8 was so late that we had that gap between the pools and the top 8, and it was either that or have it the next day.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know which one I would have preferred at this point because I was pretty damn tired by the time top 8 rolled around.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that. Not liking that gap, and personally, I would like tournaments like that to end in one day. Personally, I mean, if it's Evo, that's a different story because Evo top 8 on Sunday is like a really prestigious thing. Right. But for regional style tournaments, I mean, one day, a lot can change overnight when it comes to a tournament like that, and I think having it all in one day really is a good representation of who's the best player that day. And so I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed the way they ran everything. I liked how each stream had a lot of room, and it was really like nice the way you mentioned. It felt as though even though we were on a side stream, when we did the top 8 for Tekken, it felt like a big, event, nice big projected screen, a lot of people watching. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. For me personally, it was really like almost like a dream come true because for Soul Calibur 2, Pad Shen, who's allegedly one of the best or the best player from Japan, flew to SoCal for Soul Calibur 2 just for that game only. And he was just such an interesting person. I had never, I had never heard of him or played him, and I had very limited experience against Japanese players. So him coming over here 10 years after, I played that game in France and testing me to that level, it was really like a lot of fun. And I personally felt like, this was an experience that I'm not going to forget because, not only did I think that game was dead and I would never compete in it again, but not only did I get to compete, I got to compete against this adversary that was just like really, really dangerous and good. And, it was a great experience. I feel like I was more nervous and I felt a lot of pressure, more pressure in that match than I have in any match that I can even recall in the last few years. Wow. So, I really enjoyed that. It was really just, that's one thing that I wanted to get across, that, the fact that this tournament and Alex Valle had so many games at this tournament and allowed for this to be possible for me, I'm really grateful for that, and I really enjoyed it personally. And it really makes me think that the age of Evo having like minimum like 5 to 6 games, I feel like that day and age is over. And I feel like Evo in the future should try at least to go in this direction where they have multiple games with a lot of opportunity for multiple people to travel from everywhere. And I really think that that's a better way to do it, especially now. Like, we had the big fighting game boom and everyone was all over it, and now it's kind of tapering off and people are saying, oh, the big sponsors are kind of leaving in some regard. And I'm thinking at this point we should not cannibalize each other. I think it's a better idea to take the stance that Valle took as a tournament operator and just fuck it. Let's have all the games. Let's get all the random weird Japanese businessmen over here and just, have a blast as like a fighting game Olympics. Because at this point I feel like games like, fighting games are really struggling, all of them, except for Street Fighter, and even Marvel seems to be struggling to some capacity, So I really think everyone needs to just kind of like, stick together and kind of help each other out. VF, whatever it is, it makes for a really exciting tournament. That's my personal opinion. What are your thoughts on this? Majin, what do you think? I don't even know if you play any other games.
Oh, I actually do play other games. At first, I actually became known in playing Guilty Gear, Accent Core.
Okay.
But even before that, I was playing H2, and I got some background in Street Fighter.
Okay.
But not very good. But yeah, Guilty Gear, Tekken, and a little bit of Soul Calibur. I play all of those.
Okay. So what are your thoughts in general about, let's say, Evo? I mean, I haven't talked to you, obviously, about Evo not having Tekken, but just the idea of Evo opening up their arms to a bigger group of fighting games. Do you think that that's something they should do, or should they stick perhaps with a small number?
I think it can only help them by expanding to more games and, having more main games.
Yeah, that's my thought. What do you think, Rip? What are your thoughts?
I thought that last year's Evo, when they had more games, I thought that was like them changing,
Yeah.
And this year they're like, no, that was kind of crazy. Let's just backpedal hella. So I of course wish that there were more games. I think that when I first started going to Evo, that was the coolest thing, was the BYOC area, and you could just like, oh wow, there's all these people playing these different games. Like, I like Tekken, there's some Tekken setups, I'm gonna go play Tekken right there. Like, I wasn't planning to place top 8 or anything back then. I just wanted to go and play, and there's all these guys from everywhere to play the games, and I feel like that spirit has been missing from Evo since they've cut down the number of games. And last year felt pretty decent, but they had that second ballroom, and I never liked second ballrooms at tournaments. I always feel like it detracts from it being one event. And so but it did have a BYOC area, even though it was really tiny last year. So I mean, it was cool. I wish that they would do more games, and that way more people from like any game can come and just have a good time and maybe find some people to play with.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think having two ballrooms, though it's probably necessary, especially if they have a large number of games, it does kind of spread the cream cheese too thin on the bagel, and it takes away from the prestige, I think, of having one room and everyone being there. And, hearing that huge roar from one game on the big screen, it doesn't matter if you give a shit or not. You look that way and you see, oh, damn, this is like, this guy just beat this guy. And it's like, even if you're not paying attention to that bracket, you notice it. And I think that's something that I used to really like about Evo back in the day. And you're right. I feel like maybe that uh, the growing number of games there, or at least last year that this was the case, kind of takes away from that spectator, appeal where you're in the room and you just care about games that you normally don't care about because of the grand nature of Evo. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this year's already kind of set in stone. And yeah, Tekken is not in as most of us know, but I would like for in the future, since Evo basically dictates what games are played and taken seriously, as soon as the lineup is announced, I would like for them to announce a shitload of games. So that way everyone plays everything, and it's like this, the year they do that, the year they run like a 15-game Evo is going to be like the dope year. That's going to be the year where you're going to get people flying from all over the world because they have so many opportunities to compete, not just that one game that they could play in. So, I mean, that's what I'm hoping happens in the future. Anyway, go ahead. Were you going to say something, Rip? Sorry. Anyway, so I wanted to bring up SCR, more specifically for all of us, because it was an interesting tournament overall. It was long, as you mentioned, Rip. And Majin, you actually got flown out by KIT, right? So what's your under what capacity were you and are you sponsored by KIT?
Aries.
What's up?
Who all coming down the final round get a kick by Shinblade?
Who all coming down the final round to get kicked by Shinblade is what I think I heard there.
Make that like a headline. And see who all gonna reply to it.
Majin, could you translate for me?
Well,
don't act like you don't know what I'm saying.
Shinblade owns us all.
Okay, that's what that sounded like to me.
What's gonna happen in final round? He's gonna run wild.
Okay.
But
Roll wild.
on the subject, I am pretty much fully sponsored by KIT to go to select events.
They better grab that little rank, online ranks. Like Mike said, hold it close to your chest. All right, Aries, I'm very sorry for the interruption.
No, not at all. There's no need to apologize.
Yeah, for those watching the stream, we're in the house. We're in the gathering right now.
But hold on to your Fujins and your Rogers and in your Rogers.
I should have had him on the show too, man.
Yeah,
He is on the show too.
Okay, so you're fully sponsored, and you're still sponsored by them. I'm sure they're happy with your performance, so I wouldn't imagine that they drop you after that excellent performance.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't drop me after I did at KIT.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm glad they didn't because they sent you out and you did an excellent job here. Now, before we get into your specifics on how it went here, did you have any specific ways of preparing for this tournament? Because it's not the same when you're playing in a relatively nearby tournament and when you're getting on a plane, flying across the country, and in hostile territory. Did you do anything specific to prepare?
Honestly, I really didn't. It was all just mental training for me.
Okay.
I only played the game about like once or twice a week. Generally on weekends we play over here, and you hear how hype that is.
Yeah.
But I just had to correct a couple of things that I did wrong at KI.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And before I boarded the plane, I asked both Fighting GM and Anakin for advice
Okay.
on what I need to do
Interesting.
gameplay and go to Cali and take this tournament.
Can you share with me what they told you specifically, or is it top secret shit?
Well, it's not top secret. Basically, GM told me that you guys are all reckless. You guys play really wild, and your defense isn't just spectacular once you finally have to stop attacking.
Okay.
And he did mention that Incog probably has the best defense out of all of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And Anakin, he gave me a lot of character specific stuff. How to fight against Brian and dragging off if Mr. Naps was there. Or if I had to run across you again.
You narrowly escaped me this time, Majin.
Yes, would have been interesting.
Yeah, well, that will be left for next time. But I mean, so Anakin gave you the character specifics, and then GM gave you kind of just an umbrella philosophy to have when you're coming into a region with our playstyle. That's interesting. It's also interesting that you mentioned that because historically in Tekken, SoCal has been a more of an aggressive region, while NorCal has been more of a defensive region. That's like, kind of looking historically way back, but I wonder if that still has carried over the years. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it's just a thought that crossed my mind. So there was not that much training as far as the game goes. You just basically, it was mental?
That's right. And also, furthermore, about Anakin's advice, I had to ask him, because I didn't get a chance to ask GM, is if you would have asked, if a Cali player were to ask you how to beat lilMajin, what would you tell them?
Oh, interesting question. Okay, what did he say?
Well, he said, I tag out very predictably. I always go for the God Fist when Armor King is down on life. I never start with King. And, I don't break throws really well, as you can see.
Interesting.
And
Terrell can break throws. What you doing? Telling niggas your weakness?
Hey, a weakness that everyone knows about. They can try it on me. Try it.
I lose to people. Terrell loses to people that does not duck. That's a weakness. Don't duck.
Okay, well, you're all exposed now. All your amigos are talking shit.
That's nice.
Hey, tell them to get their face on the camera if they're going to talk shit. I don't want to see his fucking arm. Let me see his whole face.
I said get your face on camera if you're going to talk.
Oh, okay. Next time I will. Next time.
Just
what's this?
Say a word.
What's this? Probably a computer.
Thinking stuff. Hold on. No.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Blade, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all haven't heard about this guy. This is Shinblade.
Hey, you know what I know Shinblade for is beating the shit out of Arario at MLG. That's what I know Shinblade for.
Hey, what's up? What they say?
We're waiting for you to say something, man. You're stealing the show here.
Yeah, you're stealing the show. Go ahead and say so.
All right, man, get the fuck off the camera.
You're gonna mess up your podcast. I'm gonna fuck up your podcast when you saying something important.
All right, Majin, you're gonna have to give me some. I don't know what he's saying. What's he saying?
Hey, you know exactly what I'm saying.
I know what you said there.
It's just popular to say what is Shinblade saying.
All right, listen. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But what were we talking about earlier?
Okay, back to the the advice from fellow top.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Something
Go ahead.
need to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know your own weaknesses, and
Interesting.
you improve upon those and make them strengths.
Interesting.
And I believe that's really one of the things that really helped me out in this tournament. The advice I got from both of those guys, and a little bit of advice I got from Shinblade, Fly Mike, my former sensei Mick. And
Oh shit! I haven't talked to that guy in forever, Mick.
yeah, he still has good advice.
I would have loved to have seen him at SCR for Soul Calibur. That would have been tight.
He was at KIT this year and at final round last year.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get out there one of these days. So one thing that you mentioned right there that I think is really interesting and I think is a good lesson for everyone listening is your attitude about your own weaknesses seems to be really like proactive, like very positive. Because you yourself said, you feel like you aren't able to break throws, but try to fucking throw me and see what happens. So I think that's a really good attitude to have because there are a lot of cases in Tekken where a player perhaps has a major weakness, but instead of trying to like either hide it or like try to fix it in an unreasonable amount of time, a better thing to do is try to work around it. And maybe if you are weak to throws, you should try to figure out when you're going to be thrown to not be on the ground, or the ways around workarounds for weaknesses is a lot better way to approach a situation in the short term than another idea of like, let's say perhaps a week before SCR, you're trying to practice breaking throws. That may not be as good an idea in the short term. So I like that attitude that you have about mental preparedness and that type of idea of working around your weaknesses. That's something I think everyone can learn from. Rip, do you have anything to add to this topic?
No, it's just it's funny because the week before SCR, I was actually practicing the game, and I was practicing what I thought were my own weaknesses as well. And it's a lot of the same stuff, tagging out predictably, not breaking throws well. But I mean, these are things that, or at least the throwing thing is one of those things where I've worked on that in the past. So, like you said, it's not something I could have incorporated in my game, but it's something that I can do now because I've done it before. It just takes a little bit more practice than it has before. But like learning to tag out unpredictably has been difficult for me. And it was funny because I had that match with Incognito, and it's that one time he'd had me knocked down the floor, and so I was like, well, I'm not going to tag here because usually I would tag here. And so I just stood there. I just lay on the floor, and then he just stood there.
Yeah.
Like, he should have tagged by now. And then we just stood there for like 10 seconds. It was like, it's strange, And I ended up getting out of that safely, so I was happy with that. But,
I remember that moment. I was doing commentary, and I kept on looking at your faces because I thought something went wrong. Like the controllers broke. And I kept looking, and you guys both looked stone-faced. And I kept looking back, and you haven't moved yet. And I looked over there again. I was like, what the fuck's going on? They're not moving. But it was pretty crazy. I think the problems of throw breaks and raw tag and just tagging safely in and out, I think that's probably one of the most common problems in Tekken. I mean, it's really like, it's not like you're flying solo if these are your problems. A lot of people have these issues, and it's just a matter of, in the clutch, being able to do it at the right time. And I think mental preparedness is a big factor, as Majin stated. So, Majin, in your pool, let's just talk about the pools first. So who was in your pool that you felt was like a threat? Because you saw the brackets beforehand, right?
I heard from others, who was in my pool, but I actually didn't see it.
Okay, so who was in your pool that you were concerned with once you did see it?
Nobody.
Who was in his pool, Rip?
He had Run It Black, Rixta, MYK, 50% Elf, and another online player, RedX916.
Okay, so of those players that he just repeated to you, Majin, I know none of them are worthy of remembering, but of those players, did you play any of them?
Yes, I played against 50% health, Rixta, and Run It Black.
Okay, do you have anything that you feel is worth mentioning about any of those matches, or was it just a matter of smooth sailing and mental toughness?
Well, it was smooth sailing for me. I mean, obviously the guy that gave me the most trouble was Run It Black. He stole the match. It was he
always stole it.
He didn't steal it. He actually won 3 rounds straight, I believe. And after that, we went down to the last round, in the last match, and I just had to adjust to his gameplay. That was the best he had to offer.
Okay, I like that. So, what about for you, Rip? Who was in your pool, and where did you? Oh yeah, I remember this. Everyone was talking shit to you because they thought you rigged your pool.
Dude, my pool was supposed to be harder because Tomahawk and Beal weren't supposed to get owned up by this guy from San Diego named Blake, and he's the guy I ended up beating with just Junkyard combo. But also in my pool was Kayal and Kaguni, Saab, Vietnam Tom, and someone else. But anyway, it was primarily a SoCal pool. The big threats, I thought, basically every pool had about 3 people that could have gotten out, and one of them always wasn't going to get out. From my pool, it was me, Kyle, and Gaguni, and Kyle was the one who didn't get out of that pool. Your pool was yourself, Cody, and Just Frame James. Cody didn't get out of that pool. Majin's one was Majin, Run It Black, and MYK. They were the favorites to get out of the pool, and Run It Black didn't. The other pool was Kane, Incognito, Chetty. Chetty didn't get out of the pool.
Yeah.
So I think the pools were or the seeds at least were pretty well spread out.
Yeah, I agree. I think just people are just hating. I mean, it's if you're playing in the tournament and you also did the seeding, you're always gonna catch shit. So
yeah,
whatever. But yeah. So I mean, who was the big competition in your pool for you?
For me, I mean, I was scared of Kyle, but he ended up getting beat by Gaguni. So I played Gaguni, and Gaguni was running bears on everyone. Yeah. But I played him at Wednesday Night Fights, and he didn't want to run bears on me, so he switched to the Williams. But I think what happened was because he hadn't been using the Williams all day, he was like cold on him, and so he was like useless with them against me. Wow. And so I just basically steamrolled over him. Like I think he would have had a better shot with bears actually in that situation.
Interesting. Okay. What up, playa? Creeping on in the camera there?
Oh, so you see me. I was trying to listen to what the fuck y'all was talking about.
We're talking about all types of shit. So you made it on winners, Rip. And then Gaguni made it on losers, who ended up beating me in top 8, kicking the shit out of me with those fucking bears again. For pools, for me, this is kind of an interesting behind-the-scenes story that the people listening might be interested in. So when I got to the venue, when I got to the tournament, Just Frame James was there, and the first thing he told me is, dude, Cody fucking kicked the shit out of me last night. I'm hella scared of him. He's really, really dangerous. Don't whiff. I mean, he's talking to me like I'm starting to get worried. He's talking to me like Cody's really gonna fuck me up. So the tournament goes on, and then I talk to Cody, and Cody says, yeah, I did really well against James. So I'm thinking, man, these two are just going to collide, right? But that ended up not happening at all. What ended up happening is I played Cody, I put him into losers, and then James beat me, so then I had to double jeopardy with Cody. So James never even had to face Cody, so he owes me a fucking blowjob for keeping Cody away from him on the bracket. You know what I mean? Because Cody would have ruined his bunghole if he had played him, but, that never happened. So that was kind of an interesting side story to that bracket. But other than that, so it ended up being James in winners and then me in losers, and then we moved on to top 8. So, Majin, how did top 8 go for you? Because you had some crazy matches. Like, your first match against James, as well as your match against Incog. Those two matches were really interesting to me. So you go ahead. You tell me what about the top 8 is worth mentioning to you and what you really remembered about it.
Oh, well, what I remember, losing to James, edging out Incog, and then making the adjustments to whoop James.
That's definitely what transpired. I was looking for a little bit more detail into what you were perhaps thinking. Go ahead.
In that first set in winners finals against James, I was more so, trying to figure him out and to try and, figure what his gameplay was. And all it was just Yoshi just going insane.
Okay.
And I couldn't catch him no matter what I did. I saw the little animated GIF on the board.
Yeah, I just realized it's on there right now. They're looking at it. AAK made that. Big shout outs to AAK. Anyway, go on.
But yes, I was trying to, see what he was doing and react. But, I couldn't do that. There was too many unblockables. He was getting around my moves. And, Law, really, I don't remember his Law doing anything in that set. It was
interesting.
All Yoshi there, all the shenanigans. I fell for it like a fool.
So it was pretty much, it was like Beatdown City. So after you lost that, I noticed, I'm the type of guy that looks at faces. So I was looking at your face the whole tournament, and no matter what happened to you, you were like a rock. You were like stone-faced, like composure. You were like the king of composure. So what you tell me after a match like that against James, where you've flown out from Tennessee, and he's just doing all this weird bullshit, and you're just like, I feel like any other player would have just been like flabbergasted. But you were just like, all right, I understand what's going on here. Let me deal with the rest of these bums, and I'll deal with this Yoshi a little later. What was going on in your head after that match?
Just stop trying to figure them out. Let them come to you and just hop kick. Start throwing the hop kicks out to deal with that sword sweep on block.
Interesting.
To
Yeah.
make you stop doing it.
Interesting. Okay.
And to actually bait out certain things that he used against me in winners finals. So I'm trying to remember something specific that he did.
It's all right if you can't remember detailed specifics. I mean, that's really interesting. So you're telling me that the answer to your problem was defense? Just wait, let him kill himself?
It was defense and random bursts of offense.
Yeah, yeah.
It was something that both Anakin and GM told me that I should do. Everyone's used to my defensive style and my keep away style, so I should throw a little flavor in there and rush it down.
Interesting.
So I did that, and then in the grand finals, and I picked up on his inability to break grabs consistently, and that's what really made all the difference in the world for me.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't mention this earlier, but it's interesting that you mentioned that after your loss in winners against James, you were thinking about what to do, and it was the defense with bursts of offense. I really had a similar experience against that Japanese guy for Soul Calibur, because I don't know if you know, Majin, but in winners bracket, that guy kicked the shit out of me even worse than James kicked the shit out of you in winners bracket. That guy fucked me up so bad, dude. And after that loss, I was not composed the way you were. I was like stunned. I couldn't even begin to understand what I have to do to beat this Japanese guy if I even make it to grand finals. And just as a rule of thumb for myself, and I've been using this philosophy for 10 years, if you don't know how to beat the guy that's beating you, the answer is turtle. I mean, you got to turtle. That's the answer. If you don't have an answer, that's the answer. And it's interesting that you said something similar to that, and your result was similar to my result, in which in grand finals you came back and beat James, and in grand finals I came back and beat that guy. And when it happened, while I was commentating your match in grand finals, I was kind of thinking about this as I was commentating. So I think that's definitely a lesson to anyone who's listening. If you don't have the answer, you're probably fucking yourself in the ass. So what you need to do is don't fuck yourself, fuck somebody else. Because just wait. You know what I mean? You got a turtle. That's really the answer. This is at least my opinion. Do you have anything to add to that, Rip?
Nope, that sounds pretty legit.
So you agree with that basic philosophy when you don't understand why you're losing?
I guess the problem with that is, like, if I personally, when I try to turtle up on James, like, say he caught me some Yoshi shenanigans, so I'm like, all right, fine, I'm just gonna try to block, and then my defense doesn't hold up, and so then things fall apart. So, there's some risk to that still. Just because you're turtling doesn't mean you're gonna win. You still have to have good defense on top of that.
Of course, yeah, of course. But I mean, basically, the reason I brought that up is because I feel like historically, at least for myself, I've been answerless in the past, and there have been many times where instead of trying to find this hidden morsel, this like magical idea that will help me beat the opponent that I'm searching for, the truth is that it's not there. He's just a very solid opponent, and to beat him, you can't just give things away. If he's gonna get damage on you, you can't just give it for free. You have to make him work. You have to make each point of damage like deserved. Like, I didn't just give him this whiff so he could fuck me up. He earned it. He made me whiff. So those types of things I think really will help competitors overall. So, okay, you came back in grand finals. You fucked up James. Do you feel as though mentally he fell apart? Was there a moment where you smelled the blood in the water, or how did that work for you, Majin?
Oh, definitely. I felt that going against both him and Cog.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell in gameplay once you have someone mentally beat Just Frame. He cut out more and more moves with Yoshi as the grand finals went on.
You're right.
He cut out a lot of it. If he would have stuck to that same formula that he had in winners finals, it would have been a far better set. Not saying he would have won, but it would have been far more competitive.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Me myself, watching it, I definitely could tell like he was just scratching shit off the list of things that he could do. Eventually, you just caused, the way you were reacting to certain things. You're exactly right. He started just scratching things off the list. Okay, I can't use this anymore. And in the end, he was just doing a bunch of nothing. Like you scratched everything off his list, and in the very end, you were just kicking the shit out of him, and he had nothing left. So I agree with you. I definitely noticed the mental breakdown of James. And for Incog, I feel like he had a really interesting tournament because he lost to that one Korean guy that was playing double Korean, Baek and Haorang. And, he came outside really emotional. Like, I was outside smoking. He came outside like, that guy's really good. I'm going to money match that guy. He's good. I'm going to money match that guy. He was good. Like really kept repeating that. And I was like, damn, this guy's really affected by that loss. So for him, I feel like it was an interesting roller coaster, and he had to claw back. Now, Majin, you lost to him at KIT, right?
That's right.
And
is that the reason you came out to SCR? Sorry to interrupt.
That's
is that the reason?
Part of the reason. I mean, it wasn't, SCR was not on my radar at all until my sponsors, KIT, Vandy.
Hey, tell him to turn that shit down in the background.
What's the third strike? Guys, turn it down. That third strike. Way too loud. Pick different number at least.
Go on.
Where was I? That's straight. But yeah, my sponsors, it was like, are you interested in going to Cali? Like, yeah, sure. All I have to do is, make things right with my job, and I'll go. Simple as that.
Awesome. That sounds great. So that was your main reason? It wasn't like who were you trying? I don't know what type of a person you are. I don't know if you're the type of guy that's like, I won't rest until I fucking get my vengeance on whoever, So what I want to know is, like, when you were coming here, were you eyeballing anyone? Did you money match anyone?
No, I didn't. I'm not really the money matching type unless I'm responding to someone challenging me. That's the only time I usually money match.
Yeah, I like that attitude. Okay, so you didn't happen to play Cabal, right? Because I was really looking forward to not only watching you guys play, but I wanted to see you guys fist fight too. I think that would be a great fight. But did you get to play him?
Kayal?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I didn't.
Oh, interesting.
He seemed pretty down the whole weekend.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I mean, it wasn't his weekend. It was definitely your weekend, that's for sure. So that's cool. They sent you out. What other tournaments are you looking forward to attending other than Final Round?
I'm looking forward to the Fall Classic.
Yeah. Okay.
CEO.
So you're going to travel to all of them, huh?
Just about.
Awesome. That sounds great. What are your personal thoughts about Evo not having Tekken? Because, you went last year.
Well, I heard that Markman is gonna have a Tekken tournament there.
He definitely is. He has said that.
He's trying to put something together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it needs more backing. Obviously.
Yeah.
No, he mentioned it a while back, but no one's been talking about it.
Yeah, it's not going to be something huge. It's not going to be official, but Markman is definitely going to throw something together. He's probably going to have a stream, and chances are he's going to have tons of prizes as well. And he's always supporting the scene, but it not being a main game, it definitely puts a cloud for the Tekken scene. As far as Evo is concerned. Let's talk a little bit about your experience last year and just your general opinion of that tournament overall.
Well, it's not too many positives.
I don't mean about your performance, because that's old news. Who gives a shit about that? I mean just Evo in general. Your thoughts on the event.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Oh, really? Tell me. I'm listening.
Well, I obviously I don't feel that Tekken was important. It didn't feel important at all.
Interesting.
You have random people running the pools. That was a guy that I literally had just met up with. He was from Memphis, and they just threw a shirt on him. Here's the paper. Run this Tekken bracket. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was everything was ran. It wasn't prompt. It was they just didn't care.
Interesting. Okay.
They weren't DQing people that weren't showing up. It was just completely lackluster, in my opinion.
I like your choice of words. Lackluster. I like that.
It's a good word.
I agree. So overall, do you think it was bad enough for you to perhaps not consider attending again, or is Evo something that you would attend in the future?
I mean, if there's an aura about it that promotes Tekken, I would definitely reconsider.
Okay. I like your attitude. I could dig that. Hopefully in the future they'll turn things around.
Yeah, it was just not for Tekken players. That's 2 out of 3. You can't use your PS3 pads.
Yeah. Okay. So you're very particular about the PS3 pad then.
Yeah, I mean, every other group of players at every other fighting game, they get to use what they use at home, at their tournaments, at every tournament. But a Tekken player, you can't do. You got to, go to the third party to get a converter to use at Evo.
Okay.
I just don't agree with it. There are other methods to, get rid of people pressing the wrong button.
Get off you, man.
These guys are too rowdy, dude.
Yeah, they having fun back there.
That's all right. So, I mean, okay, so we understand the rationale behind the ban. You're not a supporter of the ban. You also are a supporter of 3 out of 5 in tournament, right?
That's right.
So, SoCal Regionals was not 3 out of 5. What were your thoughts on that, and how did you have to adjust for that?
I mean, you just have to play more solid, I was not real happy about it being 2 out of 3, but I'm going. They're sending me there.
Yeah.
Go and win, no matter what the rules are.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use your PS3 pad. Go and win. That was the objective.
That's a good attitude. I mean, that's pretty interesting. Okay. So now I want to talk a little bit more about the specifics of your team and your choice of using King and that stuff. So I started hearing about you back in Tekken 5 DR. But that's when I started kind of putting my ear against the whatever the saying is for Tekken. Now, you've been playing King this whole time, right?
That's right.
Is there any specific reason why you selected that character?
I love wrestling.
Okay. That adds up. When did you start competing in Tekken?
I started competing in Tekken Tag 1.
Okay, so you were already entering tournaments that long ago.
Yeah, I was very terrible,
Mhm.
but there were local tournaments. I didn't start going outside of Memphis until Tekken 5.
Okay, cool.
So I was a local hero or a local scrub or whatever.
No, I've heard from you from years ago. Everyone always talked about you, especially because of your character choice. This guy from the South's always fucking everyone up with King, so that's really tight. And back in Tekken 6, I remember watching your matches and thinking, because I always thought King was really weak in Tekken 6. So watching you succeed with him was always very exciting. What are your thoughts? Like, why have you stuck with him even in these games? And did you feel like he was ever not good enough?
Never. In my honest opinion, I've always thought that King was the best character in Tekken.
Damn. Okay, can you elaborate?
I mean, it's simple. I mean, he has, high damage output. He has grabs that you have to guess to break, and they take all your life. He gets guaranteed damage from a lot of his knockdown options. He's got unblockables that he can actually use in matches. You've seen me doing my own, He's got decent lows. I don't think his lows are bad, which is, the popular belief that his best low is down 4, and I feel that, hey, that's a real good low if that's your best. It tracks, it's got good range, pretty safe, and he's got other lows that, knock down. One safe low launcher, a low that puts himself on the ground. That's 27 points of life. I want to get specifics with that. He's just got everything he needs and more to succeed. Always has.
Oh, really? So you felt like he was really good in Tekken 6 as well?
Definitely.
Really? Interesting. Okay. Your thoughts, Rip?
No, I mean I can see exactly what he's saying. And I was just thinking, were you at TIT in Texas in Tekken 5?
Yes, I was.
I think I remember seeing. I think that was the first time I ever saw you, and I was a total scrub back then. I remember I went there with Chojin, who was also a King player from SoCal, and so we were watching you. And like it was interesting because Chojin was a guy I grew up playing against, and so I had a lot of King experience. And I was watching you guys have like a similar kind of play styles. I remember I was watching one of your matches. And I was like, Frankensteiner, do Frankensteiner, and then you did Frankenstein. I was like, oh, that's so smart. Like the guy next to me was like, exactly, you should have done Frankenstein. It's like it's so good. But yeah, I mean, I've been watching you for a while, and obviously you've been one of the top King players. I've always thought that King was fairly strong because of his poke game. Like with Law, I feel like he's a little bit weaker because if I block something that's low, it's only -11, I get this tiny while standing 4. Whereas when King or Paul give me a while standing 4, I'm like, damn it, I shouldn't have like let him block low on anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, that I think has always been one of King's strengths. I think in comparison to the other characters, though, they always seemed a lot better than King. So it didn't ever seem like, oh yeah, well King's obviously top tier. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he didn't have tools that were just gonna destroy everyone else, but you had to be a smart player, to use it correctly, basically.
Right.
So I think it's not a character that anyone can just pick up and do well with. It takes some dedication.
That's interesting that you mention all that because I've talked to a lot of people about what they think the best characters in Tekken Tag 2 are. And a lot of people, NorCal guys, a lot of people have said that they think King specifically is really weak. And I think that in this game, King is really good with Armor King, specifically. Like, as a team, they work really well together. I think the red life stuff really adds up, the throws. And I think that the thing that Majin's saying about, the lows not being that bad, I think the throw game, just in general, in Tekken Tag 2, being harder to break, really makes King more dangerous. And even against opponents that are very good, they have a good break ratio, still, they're not going to break all of them. And the one that they don't break is going to be a giant swing that's going to touch the wall, and it's going to equal the 5 throws that they broke in the first place. So, I don't know. Personally, I think that King is very dangerous. I also think that one of the things that King has that is unique and very good is that he can do max damage and put you in fucked up wake-ups every time. So his max damage is his anti-tag crash,
Right.
his fucking 50-50 Okazemi. I mean, that's pretty unique in this game. So, personally, I think that King and Armor King is a very, very solid team. I have thought that for a long time, and it's actually, according to Tekken Net, the most popular team in the world.
Wow.
So, it's someone else agrees that it's a solid team, or at least solid to some, under some capacity. So, yeah, I definitely agree. Majin, have you had any people that you look up to, or any players that basically were like your inspiration? Because you definitely, among the group of the top players in this country, even going back several years, you not only are you a character loyalist to a very unique character, but your playstyle is also pretty unique too. So, I mean, is there anyone you learned from, or are you basically self-taught?
Well, I owe a lot of my gameplay to Mick. He helped me, ascend to top player status as far as my skill level.
Okay.
Because I was just a good scrub, I would say.
Okay.
Like a higher level scrub, but yeah, watching him play with the chains in Tekken 4 and early Tekken 5, it was a real inspiration.
Okay. Interesting.
And currently, Fighting Jim and Anakin, I love to see those guys play every time.
Yeah.
And another player, he's in here, Shinblade. He's an inspiration to make me keep, leveling up, because you guys don't know, we don't stream here in Memphis, but
Yeah.
he really keeps up with me or edges me out in casual games.
And not only that, but Shinblade is also a poet and a wordsmith with his just generally, he's the way he pieces together sentences is amazing. I really have to commend him on that one. We got to get him on the show next time. Anyway, okay. So, Rip, did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up or any topics that you wanted to talk about?
Not really. There was something. I mean, I asked him about the thing.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you, Majin. So, did you play Armor King at all before this game came out?
Yes, I picked him up in DR. Once he was announced.
Uh-huh.
But I wasn't serious with him or
Yeah.
anything like that until this game.
So, when this game was coming out, you knew it was going to be King Armor King no matter what. No questions.
That's right.
Really interesting. Well, it turned out to be a pretty solid team overall. Do you play any other characters, or are you just strictly loyal to that team?
And I know how to play with everybody on the game.
Oh, really? So you play a lot of different characters.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. People like you don't get the opportunity to have, be on stream very often. So we don't even get to see you play. Who knows? Maybe you got, Pocket Brian, or who knows what else you got. So, man, it's really too bad. You guys should get a stream together out there.
Yeah, that's definitely something we're going to do really soon.
Yeah, tell those KIT guys, man, to fork over some dough for some of that, whatever those capture devices are, and you guys could get some streams going. That would be really nice. That would be nice to see.
Will do.
So anything else, Rip, that you remembered?
No, I mean, I just thought it was interesting that you talked to both Fighting GM and Anakin. When we had Anakin on the show, like, he was basically calling Fighting GM a bitch. And so,
Yeah.
Now GM saying he's not going to final round. And I mean, it seems like you're kind of this bridge between two of the top players who don't like each other. So, I mean, like, they both like you, which is not hard to see why. You're a nice guy. But, I'm curious if you know anything about whether GM is actually going to come down to final round or not.
Good question.
Well, I mean, he's told me the same thing he's told everyone else. He's not going. But, how many other tournaments has he said that
Yeah,
about?
that's true.
And showed up
Okay.
before I got there. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely hoping he goes, because at this point, I mean, he's definitely established himself as one of the top players in the country, and if he doesn't go to that would be really he's a contender. I mean, if you're a contender, you have to go. That's how I feel, and I really hope he makes it.
I got another question.
Yeah, go for it. Whatever you got.
So, Majin, you've been basically to a lot of the East Coast tournaments, as well as now EVO and SER. And so, what, in your opinion, is like the best tournament for Tekken?
It's undisputed. It's final round.
No questions asked.
No
That's
question.
what I thought. That's what I thought from my experience, but I haven't been to a lot of the other East Coast ones, so I just wanted to make sure. So I'm going to final round. I'll be there next week. I'll see you guys there.
Man, I can't believe it's already next week, dude.
It's crazy close, yeah.
Dude, next week, as in, oh yeah, okay, so got you. Next week, not this weekend, next weekend. Interesting. I'm gonna try. I haven't gotten into contact with him yet, but I'm gonna try to get Poke Chop on the show next week, so we can talk some shit with him. But yeah, everybody who's watching this, keep your eyes out, because the biggest Tekken tournament every year, according to our champion Majin here, is final round, and that's next weekend. So don't miss it. Do we know who's streaming it, Rip?
No idea.
I'm not sure who's streaming it either, but it's going to be available. Keep your eyes on the stream. Chances are it's going to make top 8 on Sunday. It's going to be 3 out of 5, and everyone's going to be bitching about how long it took. So get ready for that. It's going to happen. And it's going to be a big clash of a lot of regions, a lot of good players. So if you guys don't have anything else to discuss, we can move on to bitch callings. I know you got to get to work, Majin, so I won't keep you for too long. But, Rip, do you have a bitch ready to go?
I'm gonna go ahead and call just frame James a bitch.
Man,
What?
that's mine.
Dude, I mean, I was. He is lucky that I was as tired as I was at SCR, because I was ready to beat him, and then he beat me that first match, and I was like, God, this guy's a scrub. And then the second match, I played him, and I was doing really well. I was up 2-0, pretty solid, and then I don't know what happened. I think the next round he just ran me over because I refused to tag crash, and basically just got momentum and stole it from me. And so I need to practice. I need to get better, and yeah, and also everyone who didn't come to Wednesday Night Fights last night is a bitch, because I need to practice.
That's a great bitch calling. Why the fuck would they not come to Wednesday Night Fights after SCR before final round? It's like the window. This is the window. We need to. There are players. This is a message that goes out to the SoCal Tekken scene. There are players, even if you're not going, that are going. They need your help to train for final round. So don't fuck around. These people need your assistance. We got to go to Wednesday Night Fights, and we got to train them up so that they could defeat shitheads like Majin over here coming into SoCal, whooping everyone's ass. You know? So, I mean, that's what needs to happen. Majin, do you have a bitch calling for the day?
All right. This goes to all those guys and girls who did not show up to KIT and are not showing up to final round.
You don't exist.
You don't exist as Tekken players, in my opinion.
What about my heart, dude? Do I get like a get out of jail free for that one?
I mean, it's understood, Harris.
It's common sense.
You're not.
That's all right. You don't have to sugarcoat it. I'm a bitch. Just say it.
Yeah, you're a bitch.
All right. I'm a bitch.
These are the 2 tournaments that are guaranteed to be top quality, top of the line for Tekken.
I agree.
And you guys don't show up. It's a slap in the face to the TOs that try to help us make this game better competitively. It's no excuse. It's only 2 tournaments, one in January, one in March. If you don't go to anything else, make it your mission to go to these 2 tournaments. Final round is next weekend. You play Tekken, you love Tekken. You taking this time to get better. You're playing online with your combos and got your streams and your Gimbu ranks and all that. Hey, show up. Put up a shut up. Yeah,
I like the attitude.
Forza Academy is what, 2,500 scrubs?
It's more than that, I think. More scrubs than that.
Yeah, Evo tickets. They don't show up to the real Tekken tournament.
Okay.
I think Shinblade wants to call someone a bitch too.
Hey, Shinblade, you want to call anyone a bitch?
Phone Marcus. But yeah, you don't show up to these 2 tournaments. You don't love Tekken. You're not a Tekken player.
Man, that's what trying to say.
KIT, baby.
I like the attitude. Who's a bitch, Shinblade?
Basically, Terrell trying to say is, fuck Jim. Because he taking that ranking shit too damn seriously.
Okay.
That list the end created.
You know
what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
What tournament has he won to be number 1?
I mean, he's won a shitload of tournaments.
Like he's the one.
Well, hey,
he
one
won.
Hey, one of the tournaments that gave him a snow globe, didn't it? Hey, Mark, y'all need to come out the GameStop champion. You know what I'm talking about?
He won a lot of GameStop tournaments.
At least you can win a lot of GameStop tournaments to be number 1 because you done won 16 GameStop tournaments. That's what it is. No,
he doesn't want to come to the South. I mean, me and Jim used to be very cool. He don't want to come to the South because he always gets whooped on. I think he's more afraid of pork chop than anything. Well, yet alone, he thinks Terrell's he's gimmicky because I don't know why, but he always beats.
How you be gimmicky after 5 fucking years?
Yours? Man, I gotta get all you guys on the show.
Was that Fly Mike?
I don't know who that was. Fly Mike?
Running Black's a bitch because he talks shit and then runs away.
Okay, all right.
Rather he talks shit and runs away. Real, you should know. You stay with him or you stay close by.
Talk shit and runs away. Okay, you got any other bitch callings?
Real, I'm now aggressive. You look very scared right now. I'm just a black guy.
You're real close to the camera, man.
Hey, you got some bitch callings too. Hold on. Hey, hold on. Fuck that.
Hey, feel free. Anyone who has any bitch callings, it's a free for all. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Call fast, bitch.
Come on, bitch. Tell people to get off my motherfucking Facebook timeline about their ranks and shit. Like, for real.
I gotta get. Hey, does Skype have like closed captioning or something? That would be nice.
Tell him, hey, get off my Facebook timeline talking about a rank.
Tell him.
Man, tell him, get over there, man. No, tell him, tell him.
All right. Well, hey, if you're gonna do a bitch calling, you gotta get on camera. That's the rule.
Yeah, on camera, Mike.
I do it on Facebook.
Oh, come on, man.
I do my bitch calling on Facebook.
Oh, fuck, you already right here.
Oh, he's shy? Oh, that's enough of that. My bitch calling for the week is I'm going to do a trifecta, okay? My first bitch calling is Just Frame James because he was unable to defend this region. He's whack. He's a bitch, definitely. My second bitch calling is Pad Shen because that guy, I did not expect him to be so good. That guy was extremely good. And I really, he's a bitch calling, but I have to thank him for coming. I really enjoyed my time playing against him. I thought it was really like I said earlier, a dream come true. He's a bitch for being that good at such an old-ass fucking game. But, you know, he said that they still play over there and they still have tournaments. And so he's my second bitch calling. My third bitch calling, you know, I totally forgot who it was. Too much bitch calling. So that's my bitch callings. Rip, do you have any anyone to or sorry, anything to plug?
Nah, I mean, oh yeah, I got something actually. The Prima Games Killer Instinct e-guide is available for $9.99 at PrimaGames.com. I'm going to be updating it with full gore information next week. The character will be out before the end of the month, so if you guys are interested in Killer Instinct at all, get the guide. Thank you.
Excellent. And Majin, I'm going to go ahead and give you the opportunity. You're already flashing the red foil T-shirt, but do you have anyone you want to shout out or anyone, anything you'd like to plug if you have a Twitter or whatever?
Well, you know, all those who support the game we love to play. Kudos to you all. I will see you guys next week in final round. But again, like I said, man, final round in KIT, man. If those two tournaments stopped, it would be over with for Tech.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
So support. I will see you guys there. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. And, you know, I usually do a cutoff, but I really want to say I really, really like your attitude. I really like the type of player you are. Your generally your positive way of looking at not only the game, not only competing, but also your own personal, you know, like flaws as a player. I really like the way you think. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I'm done sucking your dick for the day, man. Take care. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for watching, Internet. Catch you guys.